Le Lazair est considéré comme l'un des meilleurs avions légers jamais construits. Il est la création de Dale Kramer de Port Colborne en Ontario. Dale Kramer a abandonné ses études en aéronautique pour poursuivre son rêve de voler en solitaire dans un avion que tout le monde pourrait construire. Il a conçu et construit un avion ultra-léger stable, aérodynamique et tout à fait novateur. Le Lazair de 1979 était alimenté par 2 moteurs de scie à chaîne montés sur la partie supérieure du bord d'attaque de l'aile. Fabriqué à partir des matériaux utilisés dans la construction des aéronefs modernes, le Lazair était plus léger que le pilote moyen. Il volait lentement, à une vitesse d'environ 65 km/h. Il pouvait décoller de n'importe où et atterrir presque partout. Et oui, toute personne moindrement dotée d'habiletés manuelles pouvait construire le sien. Entre 1979 et 1985, l'entreprise de Dale Kramer a vendu plus de 1200 ensembles de Lazair, tous construits à Port Colborne. Le Lazair a remporté des prix lors de plusieurs rassemblements d'aéronefs d'un bout à l'autre du globe et son concepteur a été honoré pour son apport remarquable à l'aéronautique au Canada.
William Barker, VC, Punch Dickens, Elsie McGill, the Avro Arrow, and the Lazair. 5 Canadians in flight who reached for the sky, made aviation history, and landed on a stand.
Wow, something I designed is on a stamp. What an honor. I've been asking myself for almost a year now why the Lazair might deserve this. Finally, last night, 1 a.m. or so, I came up with an answer that was good to me. I think it is because the Lazair took on a life of its own. More than 1,000 people bought a Lazair and could fulfill their dreams of flight in a way that they had only dreamed of before and in a way that no other type of flying could fulfill. These people suddenly had amazing stories permanently etched in their minds. I believe that it is these people, and a lot of them are here today in the back, and their stories that somehow caused me to be here today. In that vein, I would like to use my remaining time here to relate a few of my personal Lazair memories. Oh, I don't need this. One of my early memories that will never go away is that initially a category of aircraft had to be created for the Lazair and aircraft like it. And one of the measuring sticks that was suggested was that you should be able to pick these aircraft up, run along a runway in no wind, and take off without any help. So it's called foot launching. And so I had to show that it could be done. So one day I went to the runway with no wind. I started the motors. I picked up the airplane, went to full throttle, and started running. And 100 feet later, I was in the air, and it was the most amazing feeling you could ever imagine. It's just like E.T. flying away. So that's one. Second one is a few months later, we had discovered that we could ridge soar the sand dunes on Lake Erie, where the wind is quite strong and blowing up the hill. You could soar with no engines. And one of these flights, I decided that the beautiful beach down there, I might as well land. So I just sort of landed, but I landed vertically. And then it was really soft sand, so I decided I might have trouble taking off. So back to my foot launching, I decided, well, no better option now than to try it. So I just started the engines up again, and I lifted it up. Before I could take a step, I was flying. And off I went again. These things just remain with you the rest of your life. From there, where's my sheet? Sorry, we'll skip that one. Later, a few years later, I got the opportunity to fly at the Paris Air Show in France. And just to show you how intriguing this aircraft was for some of the most decorated or advanced test pilots in the world. I flew for 10 days there just before the air show, and it's time to second this air show. And if you can get in trouble for doing any little maneuver they're not talked about. So I did great all week, got a little braver at the end, but I landed this last day, and I see this vehicle, official vehicle, coming at me, lights and sirens and everything, and it comes up to me. I wondered what I did wrong, and I didn't do anything wrong. It was the head briefer's right-hand man, who was a military test pilot. And he says, and I was actually a little early, a few seconds, and he says to me, "Do you mind if I take it up for a ride?" And I said, "Well, what about the air show?" He said, "Don't worry about that, we can deal with it." So I gave him a 10-second briefing, and in less than a minute, he was up and away and flew around for 5 minutes, had a great time, landed, and thanked me and said goodbye, and then the air show continued. So that's how the Lazair can capture people's minds, and that's why I think I'm here. Thank you.